All right, Wimbledon is here and I am excited. If you're used to watching this channel for Clean Technica content, Clean Tech, EV stuff, just note that all of that now goes on the Clean Technica channels, either Clean Technica or Clean Technica Industry. And I'm just going to use this channel for the moment, at least. We'll see how it goes for tennis content. So to start off, I have picked more than 14, but some of them I'm not brave enough to share because I don't know why I picked them. But I've picked 14 upsets in the first couple of rounds that I'm going to share here, discuss briefly. It's too much to go into too much depth on any of them, but some I'll discuss more than others. One quick note, this is a game of luck in many cases, but last year on the TNNS app where you pick tennis brackets, that's the TNNS app, I won the Wimbledon bracket in the men's side, beating out more than 1,600 other players. So I picked the most successful bracket on the men's side. I was winning on the women's side for a few days. There is a ton of luck that gets involved here. So, you have to have some tennis knowledge, but you also have to get very lucky. I remember one of my picks was Sinner beating Alcaraz, and at the time, I had a logic behind it. I thought Sinner had never won on grass before, but I thought if he got a rhythm on grass, he'd be very dangerous with his powerful ground strokes on both sides, his skiing background, and that Alcaraz, even if he got to that point, he might be more likely to spray errors. That was my rationale. When it got to that round, and I was still number one in the bracket, I was like, why did I pick Sinner to beat Alcaraz? This was so idiotic. And then Sinner won, so it helped me end up winning the bracket. So I'm going to discuss upset choices throughout the tournament, but for the first couple of rounds, there's a lot because there are a lot of rounds and a lot of strange matches. So let's jump into my picks for upsets in the first two rounds, starting with the women's bracket. I've picked Linda Fruhvirtova to defeat Martic. Martic is a solid grass court player. I think got to the fourth round last year. A good player, but Fruhvirtova is she's got fire. She's very crafty, very smart on the court. Very young player. Those young players sort of just seem to go for it a bit more. She's an aggressive player who goes for it, and that's rewarded on the grass. It's rewarded at Wimbledon. So I think she could be a breakout story even. And we'll see how she does. I'm always impressed when I watch her, and I'm always scared when she plays one of my favorites. Next, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Hrunchakova defeating Mertens. Hrunchakova came through qualifiers. Very dangerous, very aggressive player. She's no joke. I think, who did she beat in qualifiers? Let me check real quick. She beat Towson in qualifiers, and Towson was looking good, composed, hard hitting, of course. So yeah. Sorry, they have her name differently, but yes. So she beat Towson as well as, of course, a couple of others. I think she's going to be, dangerous on grass. She'll have had her footing, gotten her footing from the first three rounds of qualifiers. And Mertens is a very solid player, and she knows grass very well from her doubles experience. But I just think Hrunchakova might hit her off the court. More of a blockbuster match here is Kostyuk versus Sakari. And I can't say I feel confident about this one. Sakari is solid. She's just a solid player. She gets to the end of tournaments routinely. Very hard player for anyone to beat. She has trouble with the biggest hitters, the biggest players in the ends of tournaments, but you can almost count on her being deep in a tournament, especially a Grand Slam. But Kostyuk, again, she's a very aggressive player. She's dangerous. She's one of those, I'm not a fan of hers, but she's one of those players I never want my favorite players to play against her. So yeah, I think it's a toss-up really, this match, and I went back and forth on it. But I ended up, going brave and expecting Kostyuk to pull out the win with her firepower, which is pretty impressive. So then we go into the second round, and she keeps going. My upset in the second round is Kostyuk beating Badosa. Badosa is like she's a little distracted perhaps with Stefanos Tsitsipas. I think everybody's been commenting on that. And she just hasn't had the best year. She's more of a... I don't think she's a great fast court player, great grass court player. I mean, she's good on hard courts, but I don't feel like she has quite the game style or for grass, whereas Kostyuk's big hitting and aggressive style might be enough to get past both Sakari and Badosa, which would be, it's a big ask, so I'm not really confident on it. I'm a bit more confident than my last upset on the women's side, which I think is mental or is insane. But I've looked at the bracket a few times and I just can't stop from picking it. I don't know why. I have Georgie beating Sabalenka in the second round, which is idiotic. And I mean, this is really, I shouldn't be recording this, but it's what I went with. I like to make a brave pick here and there, like Sinner beating Alcaraz last year. These kind of picks are fun if you just feel it and they pay off. More likely than not, Sabalenka will destroy her and win the tournament. You know, she's one of the, I put her up there with Kvitova and Rybakina as the favorites to win the tournament, with Coco Gauff and Ons Jabeur sort of having an avenue to get there as well, but we'll see about that. And Swiatek as well, perhaps. But basically, I don't know. Whenever I think overall, I think Sabalenka's in the top 3 for a chance to win the tournament. But then when I go through the bracket, I'm just going with some kind of hunch and picking Georgie to upset her with her interesting style of cracking firepower and running defense. And maybe she'll just get lucky and Sabalenka will be off a bit at the beginning of the tournament. We'll see. So let's switch to the men's now. The men's side is... I've got more upsets on the men's side, which is, you know, not typical for men. You sort of expect more upsets on the women's side, but this is what we've got. So I have picked Arnaldi to defeat Carbelis Baena in the first round. It's not a really big, brave pick. Arnaldi is a really good Italian player. I think he was top seed in the qualifiers, if not top one of the top seeds. And he just rolled through them pretty confidently. He looks really good. Italians seem to be pretty good on grass this year, or in general. And, you know, Carbelis Baena is not the most difficult first-round opponent. So I have Arnaldi getting through the first round after getting through qualifiers. Congrats to Arnaldi. And then Goffin defeating Kyrgios. I mean, obviously, Kyrgios, I'm a big fan of Kyrgios. I think his talent is just ridiculous to watch. I like his attitude on many things, on some other things I don't. But I watched him play Wu a week or two ago, and he just wasn't in shape. He wasn't able to run at all. And Goffin will make you run. So I think it's just a bad matchup for Kyrgios for the first round. Goffin got far last year in the tournament. I sort of, you know, consider him a mini Djokovic. He's a great mover, great with the angles, which is dangerous on grass. You know, if you're spreading people around the court with great angles, that, you know, it's hard to run, hard to not slip, hard to keep up with the ball on grass. So I think Goffin gets the upset. Of course, Kyrgios' cracking, booming serve could, you know, save the day for him and get him through Goffin. Goffin hasn't been in the best form this year, but I think it's just one of the worst matchups Kyrgios could ask for in the first round. And I think it's, if Kyrgios really hasn't gotten in much better shape in a couple of weeks, although he has said he's been putting in the work to try to, and he's been playing with top players. I don't know. I just think Goffin's going to have a little too much for him. He's a very experienced, clever player who's also, you know, able to return a bit. Might, you know, take advantage of some off games here and there from Kyrgios. Next one, I'm not really confident about this one. It's Mackie McDonald defeating Bublik. Bublik, of course, just won a tournament. It's not... Gil Gross has pointed out that his first serve percentage was off the charts in that tournament, sort of unbelievable. So you sort of think he can't repeat that. He's not really the most consistent player anyway, but he has come out and said that he's now playing for his son. He's trying to be an example for his young son, and maybe that extra focus is just what he needed, and he's going to be really a dangerous player, like, these other big servers who we see just always dangerous on the grass: Kyrgios, Medvedev, Hubi Hurkacz. Maybe Bublik is the real deal now. We'll see. Of course, he has a history of being erratic and temperamental, and 3 out of 5 is a tough ask for him. And of course, he has the infamous Halle curse to contend with. Just year after year, the player who wins Halle loses in the first round of Wimbledon. Only person not doing so in like 2 decades is like Roger Federer. So can he break the curse? I mean, he's sort of the kind of guy who would break a curse, isn't he? He's like a sort of black magic guy himself. But Mackie McDonald has a great game for grass. I'm biased here because I love Mackie McDonald. He's one of my favorite players. I love Bublik too. But Mackie McDonald has a very flat playing style that's just wonderful for grass. I love his just smooth hitting, his smooth strokes. I think it was 2 years ago he went through qualifiers on grass here. I'm not sure if he made it all the way through, but I remember watching him in qualifiers, and I think he got all the way through. And he's just become a more solid player in the past couple of years. Hasn't had a great year, but he had a good run on grass recently, just losing to, he was up, I think, he won the first set 6-2 against Cerundolo, was up 4-1 in the second, and then was serving, I think, even. And the conditions got wacky, and Cerundolo came back. They ended up having to have the end of the second set, which was Cerundolo had gotten up 5-2, postponed to the next day because of rain and wind, and he lost it. But I think he's going to have, that's going to be the experience he needs to go into Wimbledon strong. He's going to have that, have that comfort on the grass. He's got the skills for it. He's great covering the court, good returner. So he's got the potential to disrupt Bublik a bit. And if Bublik gets a little disrupted, maybe that's enough. It's a toss-up, I think. I mean, Bublik could hit him off the court, but I'm going with it. Yeah. Then we've got the second round. So those are my 3 in the first round. So it's really the second round where I start picking some bigger upsets. Also, I should say I've picked other upsets that I'm not discussing here because I really don't believe in them. But it's just that weird case of when you go through the bracket, you just sometimes feel like, I'm going to pick this and see what happens. Or I just feel like I want to pick this. And often it doesn't turn out well. But when it does, it feels great. So in the second round, I have Botic van de Zandschulp defeating Alexander Davidovich Fokina, the longest naming, probably the match with the longest names across the 2 players in the whole tournament. Botic, he's got a great game for grass, a good big serve. He comes into net really well, which I like to see him use at Wimbledon. He's pretty consistent. Fokina's not had a good history on grass. He's a great mover, which makes me favor him in the first round at least, and sort of think of him as somewhat dangerous. But he has bad history, doesn't do well on grass, and doesn't have a huge serve. So probably that's all just going to lead Botic van de Zandschulp maybe even to a 3-set victory over Fokina if he can really focus on good serving and coming to net well, serve and volley. I love to see that. And then I have Arnaldi defeating Rune. This is a bit of a crazy pick. I don't really believe in it, but I just feel like something might be a little off with Rune. He pulled out, he's got an injury in practice a couple days ago. He says it's just a muscle thing, and he's happy about that because it just requires some massage. But at the same time, it's not great to get an injury in practice going into Wimbledon. Arnaldi, again, like I said before, he's got great experience coming in through qualifiers, looks really good. Seems to have a good mindset on him, sort of just happy to be there. It just sort of seems like an easygoing, positive mindset that I think if he gets the second round, he'll just be playing with extra money, with bonus money, and might be more dangerous than people think. We'll see. And then I have Eubanks defeating Norrie. This was a really hard pick for me because Norrie is phenomenal. He's really great player, great on grass. He did great last year at Wimbledon. He seems to get better consistently, although this year has been the reversal of that trend. He hasn't done great this year, and Eubanks has been on fire. Just won a tournament, his first tournament, I think, ATP level tournament. He's been great all year. He's just serving great. He's hitting great. He seems to fully back himself, sort of believing in himself to go for a bit more, and that seems to just be pushing him over the edge from below 100 to top 100. He's now ranked 43 after that tournament win, and I think he's just got the firepower to knock. He gave Medvedev a tremendous challenge earlier in the year. I think he's got the firepower to knock Norrie off the court at Wimbledon, be a big upset for the Brit. On the other hand, Norrie could, have the defense and the experience to win it. I think if he wins it, it'll be close still. I think Eubanks will put up a good fight. I'd love to see him break through. Maybe the confidence of winning the tournament will be just enough for Christopher Eubanks, to have a breakthrough run at Wimbledon. Would be so happy for him. I wonder, he's put in years of work with minimal success. It's just great to see it all coming together. When someone has a fairy tale year like that, you sort of hope it just keeps going, and I think that's part of my pick. Then I have Andy Murray defeating Stefanos Tsitsipas. I'm not sure if this is a brave pick. I think a lot of people are picking this. Tsitsipas is not the best grass court player. Andy Murray has won Wimbledon a couple of times, tremendous on grass. He, a lot of people question his age and fitness, but I think in his press conference in the past couple of days for Wimbledon, he said he feels more fit than he has felt in years. I think he's really worked hard on it this year, and I think he's, with grass being a little bit less difficult on the body, and potentially getting through his first round match quickly, I think he's got the game and the grit and the fight to take Tsitsipas to town and win that upset. Actually, I haven't going quite far in my bracket, but we'll see what happens. We still's got to get. I think people are writing off Tsitsipas a little bit too much because of his background, his lack of wins on grass. He loves the tournament. He's in love with it. He fell in love with Federer at this tournament. And of course he's got this side distraction of Badosa, but maybe that'll help him a bit to take a little bit of the pressure off. He's one of those players who seems like he could use a little bit of distraction sometimes to just take a little bit of pressure off and play more freely. He's always got his dad right on his shoulder, on his neck. Even hang out with Badosa. She's taking pictures and putting them on Instagram, tagging both Stefanos and his dad Apostolos. So it's a strange situation. Who knows? But I think Andy Murray's got the experience in the game. Apparently, he just beat Djokovic 6-2 in a practice match. And that's, even if Djokovic is not playing full level, I would put that on my award table. Next, I have Lloyd Harris defeating Shapovalov. Of course, Shapovalov is a very erratic player. He loves grass. He does great on grass. He made it to the semifinals a couple years ago, just to lose to Djokovic, of course. But he's got great grass game, and you have nobody really has a clue. Dennis doesn't have a clue how he's going to perform this year. But Lloyd Harris, after being away for a long time with injury, I was really getting bullish on him before a couple of big injuries, back and then something else that I think it was wrist. I think Gene, popular tennis fan on the Game to Love Discord channel, mentioned. I think it's a wrist surgery and injury they had, but he's come back with great fitness, great form. Just got really far in a grass tournament, and also I think won the doubles in Mallorca. He was in the finals, and I think he won the doubles in Mallorca on grass. So he's looking good. A lot of players come back, and you can tell they need quite a while to get back into form. Lloyd Harris seems to have come back in form, and he looks really fit. Very dangerous, big server, tall guy. He's always fighting. I've seen him, have some great matches where he just barely lost them at the end or barely won them at the end. against Zverev, against top players in top form. So I think he's going to have a little bit. He's going to have enough, I think, and Shapovalov will have enough breaks in concentration or game to give Harris the win in the second round. And this is a really probably ridiculous pick. I don't really believe in it. But my last one is Liam Brody defeating Casper Ruud. Of course, there's all the commentary. Ruud is off partying and golfing and doing other stuff. Didn't play any warm-up events. But Djokovic also doesn't play warm-up events. Of course, Djokovic is different. But I don't know. He doesn't have a great history on grass. He's a clay court lover. Liam Brody, the Brits know how to play on grass. The Brits are possibly the best on grass in general. They play on it a lot growing up. Brody's always been sort of like Eubanks, always been pushing and trying to break through a little bit more. And, he's just there. He's there knocking on the door. And maybe with his experience on grass, his passion, he will find a way to beat Ruud, disrupt him on a Wimbledon court in his home country for another fun fairy tale story of a player who just puts in all the work year after year and maybe finally gets a big breakthrough. But I don't have him going very far in the tournament because I think he ends up playing Murray or someone soon after that, or maybe Lloyd Harris, I forget. But yes, those are my 14 upset alert picks for the first and second round. Aside from several that are so ridiculous, I'm not putting them here. They're minor players anyway. There's nothing. It's just I don't know. So that's it. Let me know if you watch this. I don't know how many people watch a tennis video on my channel, but we'll see. And let me know what your picks are for upsets at Wimbledon 2023 first and second round. Thank you.